Hello, welcome to Author Hour. I'm your host, Richard Lyntton, editor and publisher of From Cottage to Palace, a royal memoir with a twist, and other books in the Worcestershire and Malvern History series. My guest today is Dr. Amy Yeboah Quarkume. Amy is Associate Professor of Africana Studies in the Department of Afro-American Studies and the Director of Student Engagement at the Center for Women, Gender and Global Leadership at Howard University. She's an editor of Black Lives in the Diaspora, Past, Present, Future series, and the author of her new book, Her Truth and Service, Lucy Diggs Slowe, in her own words. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, Amy, tell us a little bit about you. I mean, it's very, very fascinating sort of subject that you teach at Howard University. Like, who are you? Just tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Okay, my name is Amy Yeboah. I'm from Bronx, New York. I went to graduate school at Temple University, studying the Afro-American Studies. And from there, I was passionate enough to be able to go to Howard University, where I'm in the Department of Afro-American Studies. Growing up, I was into women's studies and history. And from there, I've been kind of just teaching and learning and diving into women's history.
Wow.
So happy to be back here in the area.
Was Howard University one of the places you sort of on your top of your list kind of thing? Because that's pretty up there, right?
It is interesting. Growing up, I didn't know about Howard. I met my mentor at the time, Dr. Greg Carr, and he was teaching in Philadelphia on the Freedom Schools program, and that's how we met. And from there, I learned about Howard. He gave me an opportunity to come to Howard, and I've been teaching there since for about 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you love about teaching there?
I mean, I love the students. I love DC. It's like New York, a little bit busy, but a little bit slower. The politics, the people, the culture, it's just awesome. So just being in DC reminds me of Philly plus New York.
Have you had any other protests?
At Howard, yes. I think every other year there's a protest at Howard, but particularly with the student protests, yeah, students are involved at Howard too.
I am curious. One of the things I thought when I saw you were coming on the show is, what do you think, Lucy Diggs Slowe would have done? How would she have sort of managed this situation, specifically this year, 2024, with the Israeli protests, the Israeli-Palestine, pro-Palestine? What do you think she would have made of that?
I mean, she was a woman who was interested in understanding that students came to college and they spent some time in the classroom, but most of their time outside the classroom. So she would allow these students to be active, to be vocal, particularly women students, to say how they feel and how they think their future should be organized, how their money should be spent when it comes to tuition or fees. So I think she would be okay with them protesting and speaking up. She understood that students should be involved, students should be active, students should be voting, and students should not wait or not be involved in what's happening in global politics.
Right. Fantastic. Yeah, interesting. What do you, do you think your university has, taken a good approach to managing? Because it's amazing to me how some universities seem to be managing, but some not.
I mean, I think at our university, we are very much a university centered on social justice. So as far as us having these conversations in the classroom, outside the classroom, we're talking about it. But the center of the protests are at Ivy League institutions, where we see their funding being specifically tied to certain conversations. That's not the same case at Howard, so to say. But students are aware that there are ways in which maybe some grants may be associated with such politics, so they're aware of that. But we are definitely talking about it in classroom, talking about it outside the classroom, and students are aware of what's happening and involved and supporting as much as they can.
Right. Look, the book is amazing. It's really fascinating. It's a beautiful, beautiful memoir. I love the cover.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about, first of all, you've already edited another book, the series that we mentioned. So do you write books as well as edit, or so far you're just editing?
So far, just edited. So my first book will come out hopefully in a couple of years.
Oh, so that isn't
It hasn't come out yet. No.
Oh,
yes, it's my first edited book.
Okay, so tell us how this works. I noticed that at the back, actually, when you're putting all the references, it's like box number. So I'm like, whoa, how many boxes did you go through? Can you try and just explain? Because I've always wondered how this works. I mean, presumably, I guess what I really want to ask is, what percentage of the material that you looked at actually kind of ends up in the book, if you know what I mean? But just so specifically that, but also tell us in general how a book like this comes together.
It's interesting. So I'm teaching a class, Black Women America, and I wanted students to be able to kind of think about archives. In this tech world, everyone's texting, taking pictures, selfies. So the idea of people seeing your life in a box is kind of really, we're losing sight of that. So I had my students go to the library, and I saw her name, and I knew about her. And I said, guys, let's look through her box. And they gave me 7 boxes. I said, wow, her whole life in 7 boxes? It was like, no, there's more than 7, but here's the first 7.
Wow.
So in going through her boxes, reading her letters, I was like, this is some interesting information. There are already 2 books about her already, but they don't go into the depth of hearing her voice. So I'm reading through her letters, looking through her pictures, newspaper articles, and then from there we decided what we felt at the time, this time, was relevant.
When you say we, you mean you and your
students.
Oh, so you sort of did it with your students?
Yeah, students, yeah.
How wonderful.
First was a homework assignment to look through these archives and see what we can find. And then we realized that there's so many boxes that we need more time. And then doing that, we felt that...
So this is really fascinating. I love it. This is why I had you on the show, because I was fascinated. So let me see. You're there in the library with the first 7 boxes.
Gloves and all.
Yeah. And are they literally original letters?
Original letters, yeah.
Of Howard University?
Yep.
From the archive, as it were?
Yeah.
Okay. So then literally, as you're starting to look, at what stage, or one of your students, what stage did you then think, wait a minute, maybe this could be like a long 1 or 2 year project and we could write a book. Like, explain how that happened.
Actually, this happened 5 years ago.
Okay.
So 5 years ago, we're in the library going through documents, and I was like, this feels like what I'm going through right now. And then someone else said the same thing too. Wow, I wish, I could tell someone about this letter, but you can't take it out the library. So that's a challenge. The archives have to stay in the library, and the only person who's looking at it can look at.
What kind of gloves?
Soft cotton gloves, or not?
Not rubber gloves.
Not rubber gloves.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So just kind of reading letters and know that it resonated with students. We felt that we wanted others to also read them as well.
And are you sitting there? Are the students sitting there as you're going through these letters?
Yeah.
And are you taking it in turns to read them out loud, or are you reading them out loud?
So we're all reading together and taking notes, and then everyone comes back and say, okay, what letter kind of resonated with you the most? Going through the notes. So you read, take notes, then we request copies. Give us copies to kind of go back and read in class out loud.
And then how many? So again, and so give us a sense of the time. So that was the first 7 boxes. Did you do more than 7 boxes?
Yep. So the first semester, which is 15 weeks, we did 7 boxes. And then the summer hit. Then we did another 7 boxes the next fall, and then we continued for 3 semesters. Then we began to write and say we want to kind of choose what letters we want to highlight in her story that resonated with myself and the students.
I'm just blown away. I didn't know this. I'm just blown away that you didn't just do this and I thought it was maybe, you and professors, but you did it with your students. That's so wonderful. So, and again, did they know at the beginning or when did they know, and I assume get excited about the fact that, you guys were going to work on a book together? Yeah,
over the summer, I decided to say, I think we should share this with others as far as this story about Lucy Diggs Slowe and her personal story in her own words.
Yeah.
And they was like, a book for real? Wow. So in the acknowledgement section, you'll see the names of the students who we work with.
That's so great.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Lucy Diggs Slowe. Did I pronounce her?
Yep.
Slowe.
Slowe, yeah. So Lucy
tell us
Diggs
a little
Slowe.
bit about who is she? And I hadn't heard of her. How famous is she? Sort of thing. Put her in. Where is she on the scale? Sort of thing in terms of black women, important. Historical figures.
Yeah. So African-American history would say she is kind of nudged in athletics. So she's a tennis star, athlete. Politics, she was involved in NAACP, NAUW, National Council of Negro Women. And then in higher ed, generally, when it talks about creating a space for women in college, that early conversation, she framed that student affairs area, right? So she began to think about women having the right to vote. How should we educate them? Women having access and privilege to power. How do we educate these women? So she's kind of in those 3 spheres: politics, sports, I would say, and then higher ed. So she's kind of notable in those areas. She's also very notable in leadership. So she was the first president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and other organizations as well doing politics.
Okay, and I noticed that I want to read one passage in chapter 5, no woman who must assist in training young women for intelligent and efficient service in the world can perform this task unless she herself has been trained on the broadest possible lines. If she is to inspire young women to love and to seek learning, she must be a scholar. If she is to encourage them to use their learning for the public good, she must use her own training for this purpose. A dean of women should be first of all a well-trained, experienced educator with a broad outlook on the world and its problems. And that's from Lucy Diggs Slowe, the Dean of Women in a Modern University. Was it, the Modern University, was that the name of a paper? Or
yeah, paper she wrote, yeah.
So, given that, where do you feel we're going wrong these days? Or do you feel like, what are we doing these days to live up to those kinds of standards? Or do you think we're getting it wrong?
Interesting. So at the time, she has the Great Depression, the war, a woman got the right to vote. So a lot of things are happening. And she's saying, how do we prepare women for this new day and age, right?
And this was what year, roughly?
About the 1900s, 1908, when she got empowered, and then she passed in 1937.
We haven't even got to the First World War yet.
No.
Wow.
So she's kind of dealing with how are women being engaged in politics, in economics, right? And also war and also the depression as she grows older. Today, we're seeing women dealing with, now we see the rollback of affirmative action, and also now Roe v. Wade. So now women are dealing with their bodies being under control in a new different way, and then also their power also being taken away as far as Black women. So she would say at this time, we need to create our own spaces, begin to speak up more, begin to get more involved, not just in local politics, but also global politics, right? And begin to say, how does higher ed help that? So we see the process going on right now. There's some tension between higher ed and students, right? How does higher ed and administration help students kind of create their own stronger, more active, more politically engaged future versus silencing them, keeping them out of the classroom and not allowing them to kind of explore their interests as far as majors, right? She talks about women being political science majors, also teachers, and begin to kind of create new pathways for engagement as citizens, as active citizens, and being involved.
How do you, Howard University, how do you guys, meaning, the faculty, how do you keep up and make sure that, what you're teaching is as modern as possible? Interesting.
Being in DC, you cannot teach without looking at the news,
right?
Because it's right across the street, right? Politics is right across the street. So we're always involved with what's happening downtown, what's happening across the globe, right? So there's no way around it. And students will come to class with questions for you about what they just heard last night or what's happening right now, and how we as faculty are helping them think through their future. Because in 4 years, they'll be in that space, working in that space, speaking in that space, building a new space if they have to, or even kind of making an income.
Right. How do you think, I feel like in the last few years, we're sort of, and I don't think we'd stopped, it's like a schism. And I feel like, we're so far from just being able to talk about, just have a debate, an intellectual debate with fact versus fiction, fact, truths versus non-truths. So I asked myself, how on earth you, as a professor, as a doctor, as a professor, how do you get your head around that and try to convince your students, or try and show your students that, guys, we've got to start with facts? Like, does that come? That must come into your teaching every day, right?
In the age of misinformation,
right,
it is very difficult, right, to not say that this is the truth, or let's read a book, or let's cite a citation, because there's so much misinformation, there's so much distraction, right, that is out there. But being able to have a text like this that shows her letters, shows what she said, being able to have
material.
Yes, being able to have an archive, being able to reference and have speakers come to Howard. So in many cases, Howard is an interesting place where you can have heads of states. Kamala Harris comes. So people are coming in and talking and sharing their own voices, unlike other spaces. So students can, for the most part, ask questions themselves. Right. So we encourage students to ask questions first versus repeat information that you may have received on social media or elsewhere. And then be bold enough to think about, is what you're hearing correct?
Yeah.
right?
Is that what we call critical thinking?
Yes.
I'm never quite sure what that means, critical thinking. But what does it mean? What to you?
I mean, the sense of, there's two sides to truth.
Right.
And I would say whatever information you receive, think about it and think about critically, what is the root of that truth? What's the source of that truth? And then also have the sense of, if you disagree, you can disagree. Right. You don't have to agree with everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, how on earth, so do you think, not to go off on a tangent too much, but what is your sense of how did we skew so far, like with the misinformation thing? Like, I mean, I studied Russian, okay? I spent a year in Moscow during the Reagan-Gorbachev era. So I've seen what, dictatorships, authoritarian regimes, how they treat their people, right? And I just cannot believe that we are veering, not just in America, but in England too. Like this idea that, you just say something long enough and it's sort of people start to believe it because they want to believe it. But I mean, I just got to ask you, like, what started that? Because I don't believe it's one particular person. It's like it's a thing, isn't it? How did that start?
I mean, it's an economy. I think we underestimate how strong marketing has overtaken communications.
Interesting.
Right. So we look at when Google first started, it was an information center, but then ads came in. So when ads came in, you started profiting over giving people information as far as how to change their behavior, right? And I think that has kind of increased so much where you can tell anyone anything for a profit, just have them believe it. So I think marketing and information and communication have kind of cross-sect in a way that it's uncontrollable. And now with AI, you don't even know who's who, who said what, or what is true, unless you fact check, which is now a whole nother realm of career where fact checking is a thing to do because there's so much misinformation.
Wow. Yeah, that's fascinating. So the idea, so I hadn't thought of it like that. So literally it's the ad thing. That's where marketing, it all stems from.
And the economics of it.
And same with Facebook, which means Russia can sort of come in and put whatever they want because they're paying for the ads. Absolutely fascinating. Okay, so let's go back to the book. So how did you guys get how did you go about looking for a publisher?
So
was it easy?
It was not easy. Definitely not easy.
Wasn't easy.
This is my second publisher.
It's easy because it's Howard University.
I wish it was. I think the question of who's your reader and who would want to read a text is an interesting question, right? And it being a dated story. Now she's no longer living, right? So who would want to read her letters in her own words, and what would they gain from that? So there's definitely a market of Black women in leadership, Black women in higher ed, and that work being done there, Black women in sororities and org work. But from the publisher, Columbia Press, and with my relationship between them and being an editor on a series, I submitted and wrote, and it was accepted. So
which series? The other series you were talking about? What's that called again?
The Diaspora series.
Yeah, the Diaspora.
Black Lives in Diaspora.
So and that hasn't come out there, right? Correct?
Yeah, so that has come out.
That has come out. And you were editor on that?
No, so I'm one of the panel editors who decide what books get selected. Yeah.
Okay. So then you had some contacts at Columbia University Press, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
You still have to submit your request, your proposal, and then they have a panel of judges also read through that, and then it's. Did
you have to physically go there, or it's just a written thing?
Just a written thing, email.
Did you reach out to other publishers, or just that one?
No. I went through almost over 20, 25.
Wow.
And every letter you request to have your book reviewed, you wait at least 3 to 6 months to hear back.
Sure.
So there's some time.
So what number on that list was Columbia University?
It wasn't even a number at the time when I first started.
You just did a ton at once.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what did your students think of that process? Were they surprised? Did they realize that's how it all works?
It's interesting because I think students have a realm of the self-publishing world, which is a lot faster.
Yeah.
So they think, just self-publish. But the idea of going through an academic press and being supported by academic press has its credentials and has its also framework and audience, right? So you have academics who are mostly looking at academic presses.
Why on earth do academic presses charge so much for their books? I've had people on the show and their books are so expensive. And in fact, a friend of mine once wrote a book on Berlin just after the World War II, and it was like, it was like $90. I was like, hey mate, sorry, I'm not going to buy that. Have you got a spare copy? Why do they have to charge so much?
So I don't know the answer to that question, but I think the book publishing industry is
not this one. Sorry, I must say this is only, what is it?
It's affordable.
Yeah, this is like, what is it?
30 something.
Looking for the price here, I can't see it. Anyway, it's about $10, isn't it? So
I think the publishing company in print is also a bit under siege with social media and being able to self-publish.
Okay.
So the Amazons, the Kindle world, that's competing with the print publishing world because everyone's an author.
Right.
So
is this a Kindle? Is it on Kindle?
It is on Kindle, yeah.
It is
ebook,
well.
yeah. But it's mostly a hardcover press book with Columbia Press.
Oh, mostly hardcover?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, mostly print book. Yeah.
So, but is there a hardcover too?
Yeah, hardcover. No, that's expensive.
Right. There you go. Well, that's for the libraries. That's okay.
Yeah.
As long as there's a paperback. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about, did you have any involvement in the cover? Love the
Yeah, so I chose the picture.
Tell us about that. Because there's some great, by the way, it's not just wonderful documentary letters, but there's some lovely black and white photographs, painting even. So tell us a little bit about how you, and again, feel free to include any anecdotes with the students, because, that's really fun. And as you do that, I'm gonna look for those acknowledgements of the students. And so, tell us about how you did
so the cover. So this again is her third book about her with her picture on the cover. This is one of her pictures where she has her pearls on. So I wanted an elegant picture of her on the cover. But I wanted her words to be on the cover so people know that it's her speaking. Yeah. So I just edited what she said. Love it. So this is her handwriting.
Love it. Great idea. So that was your idea. And then did you get someone to do that, or did you just tell the publisher?
Press, the publisher.
So that you said, this is my idea.
Yeah.
And did you go like, oh my God, that's amazing?
Yeah, Columbia Press was a great support. They were great support. They were great.
How many versions did they give you?
2, and I like this one the best because it's a bit lighter.
Okay. Was it just a question of tone?
Yes, color, yeah, because the picture itself was high definition. The handwriting was just something I put right over.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in case there are other, academics watching and, doing some things, obviously, as I would say to people, it's 35% writing the book or producing the book, editing the book, and it's 65% marketing. So do you have any thoughts or ideas or what you've learned about just marketing a book, how to actually get, this wonderful document out to the world? I
mean, it's interesting. I think social media plays a large role in getting your
so
voice out there.
So that's the positive side.
That's a positive side, yes. So posting, talking about your book, getting clips. They say part of what you can market your book is, the publisher, but also is you, right? How much do you put yourself out there? How much do you want to talk? So I definitely use social media a lot to push the book, the messages, quotes from the book.
And your students.
Yes.
You got their sort of, I think that's a great idea. Like, your team, as it were.
Yeah.
I mean, they should be working overtime. I hope they are, on all the social media stuff.
Yeah.
Another thing that was interesting, and by the way, the cover was designed by Milenda Nan Oak Lee, just to give her a quick plug. This idea of, I read one, it's actually on page 1, this idea, but Lucy Diggs Slowe talks about students not having to work while they're at college. Does that ring a bell with you? Like the idea that they're there to study and they shouldn't be working, at the same, having to spend time on, dollars per hour. And that resonated with me because in England, when I went to college, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. You went to college and there were very few students who actually had to work. You got your stipend from the local government or whatever. You didn't have to pay that much in those days. It was like, I think it was like £5,000 a year, $8,000 a year. I mean, these ridiculous sums of money. Can you speak a little bit about what you personally think about that? Like, and obviously the point is that, well, some students can't afford not to work. But what do you think about that? Because she does talk about that.
She does. Again, Lucy Diggs Slowe does a great job in focusing on student affairs and understanding that college was an experience.
Right.
So she wanted students to experience college in its fullest, which is the housing part of it, living on campus, being involved in organizations and sports, but also being able to focus on your schoolwork, and work will take away from that, right? You being able to exercise your leadership skills. Being able to exercise having discussion on campus or going to dinner, right? And being taken out. So she was very much focused on always saying, men and women, everyone should be able to have a college experience as much as
rather than just an education.
Yep, more than just going to classroom, but also building your life outside of that classroom and what kind of activities you want to do. She pushed for women to have a bank account, right, and that has some sense of financial liberty, and understanding that things were changing. So if men were going to war, or it was a Great Depression, women can at least have something for themselves. So college was about experiencing what life could be in this modern world as things were changing.
That's amazing. That's right. And so does Howard University try and follow that nowadays? Do they try and help people as much as possible so they don't have to work, like scholarships or whatever?
Yes. Interesting. So right now, at the time when Lucy was writing, the male to woman ratio was way off, more men than women. Now Howard University is about 70% women compared to men. And women are leading. Women are involved. Women are deans. Women are in high positions. So things are changing.
Black? No.
Howard University?
Yeah.
For the most part, yes.
It's
a historically black institution. For the most part, are black. But we do have other.
Including the professors.
Yes. So our students and professors, our staff are generally of African descent, coming from across the entire diaspora.
Right.
And we still encourage some of the things that Luke talked about: leadership, involvement, sports. She was very much a woman of faith, so she went to chapel a lot. We still have chapel. So there are things that students are still involved in that she was a part of that still exists today.
Wow. What was I going to ask you? The sorority thing. Was Kamala Harris at Howard? Did she go to Howard?
Yep.
And was she also Alpha Kappa Alpha?
Yep.
Okay,
correct.
she was.
Yep.
So just speak to me. I mean, I guess most Americans watching know this, but again, just as a sort of foreigner, as it were. What would you say is the point? What is the idea behind these sororities? Because that she also talks about that quite a lot, right? And there's lots of letters from the sororities. Yeah. So just speak to anyone watching who perhaps doesn't know how important. Because I think growing up in England, we think of what was that movie Animal House, and it was like that was the
parties.
Parties. Yeah. So let's just in case there's anyone in England watching, because it is on YouTube, this show. Just talk a little bit about how important that was to Lucy Diggs Slowe.
So at Howard and most institutions, men are in large numbers. So what are the women doing? How are the women experiencing college themselves? So we see these sororities coming together, and women come together to think about what they want out of their university experience and their future experience. So they're at Howard University in 1908, Lucy Diggs Slowe becomes the first president and one of the founders of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which is an organization that Kamala Harris is also involved in. And these women are their leaders, their teachers. They're women involved in the movement. They're women who come together and saying that we're a small number of women, but we have a vision to serve all mankind. We have a vision to be of service to all. So we still same essential values being put forth with Kamala Harris and serving her country and being involved in politics and being a lawyer. So the same parallels exist, that women have a space to gather, to socialize, to be leaders, to train the future, but at the core is just to be of service to others and uplift the race.
I feel like you're like a modern day Lucy Diggs. Do you feel that? I feel like you definitely have this. There's a connection. I feel it, and I don't even know you, and I have only just read your book. But to what extent? When you open, presumably, had you read the two books about Lucy Slowe Diggs before?
Yes, before, yeah.
So when you read the books, you had a sense of her, but tell us about, to what extent did you feel like a personal affiliation? That's not the right word, but connection.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So at the time when I was reading some of her letters, there was a moment where I read some of her letters about the tension at Howard, like being a woman at Howard in leadership and how tough that was, how burdensome it was. how she was a woman who was put in a position to lead, but in many cases, she wasn't supported in some situations, right? So that resonated with me. But definitely with her leadership and activities, pushing students to be involved on campus. My students know that I'm always trying to get them involved, always encourage them to get other roles on campus and be involved and study abroad and go to class. So definitely in the student affairs part, I definitely resonate with her there. But definitely also with the burden. Like it is, in many cases, the gender tension that exists at Howard and Washington, D.C., across the U.S. is still felt today, right? We see it in the news, the Me Too movement. No, we see it everywhere, that things such as harassment, sexual assault, these issues aren't gone. And women still need to be given a voice. The women still need to be still need to be heard, and still need to be seen in many cases. And there's many positions that Black women are not valued or not given equal wage, that Lucy also had to speak up and give her students a good example of how she handled things publicly. So I read her letters where she's saying she wants a raise. So she's telling her students, like, I'm asking for a raise for myself, so this is how you should.
A raise. Okay, financial, right.
So when she came to Howard from working as a teacher in D.C., she was agreed to receive a certain wage that she never received. Yes.
I gotta stop you that right there, Amy. Thank you so much, Amy. That was absolutely fascinating, really. You can Google the book titled Her Truth and Service, Lucy Diggs Slowe in her own words. Same goes for From Cottage to Palace, a royal memoir with a twist, and other books in the Worcestershire and Malvern History series. So great to see you. Be good. See you next time.